In this scenario, the crew is going out to the field to perform damage assessments after the storm has passed. The crew is using SAP Work Manager 6.1 with spatial capability co-developed by SAP and Critigen. That spatial capability provides a number of features, including this Locations tab, the map, and putting work orders, notifications, functional locations, and other objects on the map. And I'll show base capabilities as well as the damage assessment use case that Critigen built on top of the out-of-the-box functionality. Now I'm going to zoom out to show the location of the crew relative to the notifications. And so you'll see in the upper right, there's where I am. That's where the crew is. I've turned that on by clicking this location button. And if I click on the list icon over here, or the list button, you'll see the list of notifications that have been assigned to the crew. Now, one of the capabilities provided out of the box is called Near Me. This allows the crew to set a geofence of a specified radius around their location to see what objects that they have to work on. And there are two notifications that fall within the geofence. I will turn that off now. Now that the crew needs to get started, they need driving directions. This too is also out of the box. I get driving directions by clicking on the notification, then clicking on the car. And when I click on the car, Esri calculates the directions and also gives me turn-by-turn directions, which you see here. And I'll exit out. So now that the crew knows where they need to go, by clicking on this pin icon, I can zoom into the notifications, and these are the 4 notifications that I want to start doing damage assessments for. Now, I'd like to see the assets, the utility assets, power poles and lines and everything else, so I can begin work. And I can get those by clicking on Feature Services. This capability was added in the damage assessment use case that we built on top of the out-of-the-box functionality. And there are 12 feature services that I can pull in from ArcGIS Server in this case. They can also be pulled in from ArcGIS Online. So I'll turn on my poles, my service locations, some underground and overhead lines, and finally transformer banks. So the crew now has a complete picture of what's going on around them. If the utility has feature services that show other utilities assets such as telco, water, and gas, an accidental outage could be avoided by, say, the crew cutting a phone line. So now that I know what's around me, there's a tree across this asset that has knocked power out to this structure here. And if I click on that asset, I see information about it, and this is metadata coming from ArcGIS Server. And this information is inside of Work Manager along with the transactional information. So the crew doesn't have to memorize or use a separate app or a paper map to get information about the geospatial assets, because that's all inside of Work Manager. So now that I have information about the asset that the tree has fallen on, I can create a damage assessment, and I do that by clicking on the arrow, clicking on damage assessment, and you'll see the geospatial metadata and the transactional information is pre-populated for me. Now, if I'm in a mutual aid situation, the crews that are coming in, well, I can use SMP to provision their devices, and the values or the codes, the crew doesn't need to memorize them because the application is retrieving those from EAM. So in this case, it's wind has knocked down the tree. I need to repair right away. It's a high priority. And I type in some notes. Remove the tree and restring line. Now, I can enter other information for this damage assessment, including the fact that I need to remove the tree. And there's other information I can also provide. Or most of these are pull downs, so the amount of errors are reduced, the workflow is more efficient, and the estimated time to restore will be improved. And the final thing I want to do for this damage assessment is either take a photo, if I have a camera on my Toughbook or on my iPad, but in this case I'll just pick this photo of a fire, a nice fire, and there it is. And now that I've created the damage assessment, I will save it. And this is now being written to EAM. Now, SAP Work Manager provides offline capability for the transactional data, but Critigen developed offline capability for the GIS data, and you can see that in a deep dive video on Work Manager available on our website or from us. So I've now created the damage assessment. If you go here, you can see there it is. There's a damage assessment I created. And in the list, you would see the damage assessment is now there.